Happy Constitution Day. Hey, yes. Good. So in the past, we've had an MCU-wide Constitution Day celebration. We've had such eminent speakers as Justice Scalia, Paul Clement, former Solicitor General of the United States, and Noah Feldman, one of the country's greatest constitutional scholars. Here in a pinch in a global pandemic, you've got me for 5 minutes, so I'm going to do my best to fill their shoes. Every American in this room and in those CG rooms out there and in Google Meet land out there has sworn an oath to support and defend the Constitution. That's right, it's the same oath to the Constitution. Lawyers swear an oath to support and sometimes to defend the Constitution as well. So I have sworn 2 oaths to the Constitution. I want to talk to you a little bit today about what that oath means and why it's so important today, why it's perhaps more important than ever. And I want to encourage you today to take Constitution Day to reflect on that oath and what it means and how you're going to support and defend it, even when you're not in combat. We have a national obsession with the Constitution. We are perhaps more obsessed with the Constitution than any other country in the world. Our political parties, even when they can't agree on anything else, agree on the Constitution, refer back to it, use it to justify all of their policies and actions. And why do we do that? Because it is the document that has held our nation together in times of greatest strife. So it wasn't always like that. Right after the Revolutionary War, our identities as Americans were very much those of the individual states, the citizens of the individual states, not of the federal union. And this persisted all the way up to and through the Civil War. It's most famously exemplified by General Robert E. Lee, who was asked by President Lincoln to command the Union troops. And he thought about it for a while, and then he didn't do it because he couldn't imagine fighting against Virginia. And that would be almost unheard of today, right? That somebody would have such loyalty to their individual states and not to the Union as a whole. And then after the Civil War, which was very much a war to defend the Constitution, the structure of the United States as we knew it before then, the Union cemented its victory by enacting what are known as the Reconstruction Amendments. The 13th, 14th, and 15th Amendments to the Constitution, some of the most important constitutional amendments out there. These amendments did a number of things. Some of the most important, they outlawed slavery. They made it such that any person born in the United States would be a citizen of the United States. They gave all men the right to vote. And they made the Bill of Rights, they made all of the Constitution applicable to the states. So previously, the Bill of Rights was a list of rights that individuals had that the state couldn't infringe upon. Now the state and local governments couldn't infringe on those as well. They couldn't infringe upon freedom of speech, they couldn't establish religion, et cetera, et cetera. So the Constitution at this point very much became the law of the land, the document that would hold America together, and we began to rally around it as such. And this is reflected by changes in the military oath. Civilian officers, civilians serving in federal government always had to swear an oath to the Constitution. Article 6 of the Constitution says this flat out. President always had to swear an oath to the Constitution. That's in there as well. But service members didn't actually swear an oath to the Constitution before the Civil War. They did, and then they didn't, long story. In 1862, the oath to the Constitution was put back in. And then in 1865, it was changed again to require everyone to renounce allegiances to the Confederacy. But besides that, the language was put in to support and defend the Constitution. Defend was not in there before. And against all enemies, foreign and domestic, was put in there. This reflects the changes in how we viewed the Constitution as a nation, that military officers would have to take a different oath to the Constitution as a whole. So why am I telling you about this today? Constitution held our nation together and was seen as the document that would help hold our nation together, the document that we rallied around at the time of the greatest civil strife our nation has ever seen. We're also seeing a very divisive time in society today. People in this room, Americans in this room, and virtually in this room, have sworn an oath to support and defend the Constitution. Making sure this happens, making sure the Constitution holds us together, is especially your responsibility. It's every American's responsibility, but you have sworn an oath to make it especially your responsibility, to commit your lives to doing that. So I want you to go back to your CG rooms. I want you to talk about development of the international system and how the Constitution influenced that. I want you to go home and talk to your families about the Constitution, educate your kids. My CGs are doing this over pumpkin cheesecake that I brought them as they speak to celebrate Constitution Day. I'm going home and I'm going to have a Hamilton sing-along with my kids, and we're going to learn about what those words mean in the musical and what the Constitution means accordingly. And I definitely encourage all of you to do this as well, by the way. And I really want you to think about what your oaths mean and what you're going to do to continue to establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility. I think you've got providing for the common defense down. But think about what you're going to do to secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity. All right.